Hi, this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about the chase. Okay, and and so before I get started, I know every time I say the title, I chuckle because I have like in my mind what I think it might be, and then in reality, like the spirit moves, and then it's like something totally different, and it's like, okay, well, this is where we're heading. And so I'm always like, oh, I know everyone when they heard the word the chase, they think it's about some guy chasing you. They think it's about, somebody like putting forth all of this effort to get with you because they're chasing you down. Like they're really trying to get you. I mean, it's good to be pursued. I don't know what that feels like, but apparently it feels good. So for the people, I say that in all these videos, like, I don't know what a healthy relationship feels like, but I mean, one day I aspire to be there. I don't know what being pursued or not pursued, like, hunted down, but like someone being intentional and really like soughting after you. Like, I don't know what any of that feels like at all. I don't think I've ever in my entire life had one man do that. So, besides God. Oh, people are thinking like they're really going on me right now, probably in this video. But listen, it's fine. If it's helping somebody else not feel alone, then I feel good about it. So that's good. So what's going on with this? So I did do the full face today. I decided to do like a little T-zone here, and I didn't go this way like I usually do. I just did a little quick, and then I did decide to do, I don't know if you can see it, but I have like this little like goldy eyeshadowy thing that's going on, whatever. And so so that's what's different. That's why my eyes look like a little different probably today. I don't know. But anyways, let's get to the message or whatever. Let's get to the video. Let's say it that way. And so I was listening to this sermon earlier today, and they said one line, and I literally felt it in my spirit, and then I was like, that's it. I don't know. It's like there's certain things that like move in my spirit, and so this was like one of the things. And usually during the whole day, all I hear is this word, but this was just something that happened during this time. But God told me to read a passage earlier today too, and it has something to do with this. And I was like, this is so funny that this is the thing today. And so, you know, the pastor said something a little different. I kind of changed it and put it into my own words. But he said something along the lines of, when we chase God, he makes everything else chase us. Sometimes we feel like we have to be the ones that chase love and chase money and chase materials and chase all of these things in our life. And next thing you know, we look up and we're chasing everything but God. We give the world our attention. We allow the world to determine how we're going to act or whatever else. We end up choosing the quantity over quality. And so my goal was to use this as structure and then go through and then like say everything. And usually I'll say one thing, something will come to my mind and it'll just flow. We'll see what happens in this video. And so when the pastor has said that we literally will go after money, thinking that, if we just keep on chasing this money, we're going to get it. And the whole time we don't realize that if we're chasing God, God's going to give us money. He's going to give us love. He's going to give us material objects, whatever it is, as long as you're not worshiping it over him. If it's something that you desire and you desire him, and you're not, this thing hasn't become your idol, God will give it to you. He doesn't want you to not have anything and be of lack of everything just because we have this broke-minded Christianity thing that a lot of people like to say. God wants you to have an abundant life. And so if sometimes we really feel like, and some people will change terminology and they'll say energy, they'll say whatever else, like if you're pulling away, someone will chase you, or whatever else. But listen, if you're chasing God, everything else will be given unto you. You don't have to worry about, anything magnetizing towards you or whatever else. And I'm not getting on people, I'm just talking from my personal opinion. I really truly feel like when we're seeking God, it's kind of like that law of attraction or whatever the other stuff is a lot of people like to talk about, because When we are seeking God, God wants us to be happy. He wants us to have the desires of our heart. He wants us to have all of these things. And I always have to say this in the video because whenever someone hears a preacher or hears someone say, God will give you the desires of your heart, people click off the video and they go and they ask God for a bunch of stuff and then they get mad because they don't receive it. The reason why you don't receive it is because you get the desires of your heart because your heart is what God will want for you. When you are seeking God, you want the things that God wants for you in your life. And God will give you the things you need, not the things that you want, specifically for selfish reasons, egotistical reasons, because somebody else has it, so you want it. God will give it to you because this is what you need in your life. And the more you seek Him, the more you seek to be obedient to God, the more you'll want the things that God wants. So when God is giving you the desires of your heart, it's because your heart is pure. It's because you're coming from a good place. It's because you're not doing it for any selfish reason. You're doing it for the right reasons. So I just want to always clarify that because a lot of the times when someone does a sermon or when, and I'm not saying that no one ever explains it in a sermon, but sometimes when I run across videos, I'll see people and they'll give a sermon and say, God is going to give you the desires of your heart, and that's it. And then a lot of people who are baby Christians like me, or a lot of people that don't read the Bible or whatever else, or don't really know the Bible or are trying to build a relationship with God, they don't know that that means that God will give you what you need and not what you want. And so they feel like God either forgot about them or they feel like they're missing something or they feel like maybe they're not important enough or whatever else. And they just feel like it's not working, but it's working. You just don't get things for selfish reasons. You just don't get what you want that wouldn't be good for you. Like that guy that you're praying over is probably not grace for you. So although you're praying and you're saying, well, God didn't fix my relationship, God didn't keep me with this guy, God didn't give me the guy that I wanted. He might have been what you wanted, but he wasn't what you needed. Or you'll say, God didn't give me the job. I really wanted this job so badly. Why didn't God give it to me? He knows I could use the money. Listen, are you worshiping God or are you worshiping money? Because God can provide all your needs. If you have everything that you need, what do you want the money for? Are you going to use it to benefit the kingdom? Are you going to use it to help somebody else? Or are you only thinking about the things that you can buy that are luxurious? Are you thinking about things that will satisfy you? Temporary satisfaction. Because God is about longevity. Anything temporary is not God. God will have you go through seasons temporarily. But anything in your life that's not sustainable is not God. God wants you to have abundant longevity in your life. He does not want you to have a quick fast, in a hurry, temporary satisfaction, something that is just, it's great right now in this moment, but after that, it's over with. It's gone. Like, you really want that food, but then you feel like crap afterwards, or whatever else. God never intended for you to have something that is going to make you die, make you not be the healthiest version of yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, or emotionally. He's not trying to have you want or need something that is not going to satisfy the kingdom, that's not going to benefit you in the long run. Because God is super strategic with how He works in your life. His strategy is Him doing something right now that doesn't make sense so that a year from now you're set up for the future that He intended for you to have. Right now, you just living life, doing normal stuff, being obedient, serving. And you're like, okay, well, I feel like I might be helping people. I don't know, but okay, I don't see how this helps. Next thing you know, somebody asks you to go talk on a stage somewhere with women empowering other women that is changing a nation. Like this thing turns national. And you were just being obedient, doing vlogs, doing YouTube videos. You were just trying to inspire, trying to serve in any way that you could. But you had no idea that God was tapping on the shoulders of all these individuals who needed to put you in the room. The person who had to say so, the person who was going to open a door for you, the person who was going to allow your voice to be spoken to so many other people. And it's so funny because I say this, right? And I know people are like, okay, so you trying to speak this into existence for yourself. Listen, I'm trying to change the world. That's what I know that I want to do. I want to help and serve in any way that I possibly can. That's my goal. And God is really going to, because I do these videos and I feel comfortable here because it's just me. I'm in a room by myself. Yes, there are people that are watching this, but I don't, it's not like I'm talking to a bunch of people or anything. And yes, I can hold a conversation with people and things like that. But when it comes to speaking in public, woof, like I always get so nervous. So that's how I know it's God. Because if I could do it by myself, why would I be needing God? God will kind of bless you in certain areas of your life where you couldn't do it without Him. Like, I could not get on a stage and say anything if God wasn't there. Like, even talking in small groups, like, and doing public speaking events for like small groups and stuff like that, I get nervous. I get nervous. I'm always like, and I pray before and I'm like, God, just guide me to say the things that you want for me to say. And, I'll listen to you and I'll just let my spirit move however it moves. And it's so funny because I will be talking and stuff and I'm just like, in the middle of the speech, I'll be thinking in my head like, "Oh my gosh, I'm doing this," and then I gotta like continue going, and I'm like, "Okay, you got this." But without God, it would be impossible. Like, there's no way because I'm not. I could talk to each person individually, an entire room, have a great conversation, be a great conversationalist. When I get in public in front of people, my nerves, I mean, I wouldn't say I get nervous, but I start getting in my head a little bit and I start feeling like, and then I'm like, okay, God, just guide me to say the things that you want for me to say. And I'm like, God, I trust you. And then I go, hi, my name is Trinesha Cottrell. And then I'll start, the whole thing. And I'll try to, like, either they want it to be for like kids, it's for women, it's for something like that. So if it's for kids, I'm kind of like, I don't want to say something that's too deep. And I don't want these kids to be, learning something. Of course, they probably already know from school and stuff like that. But I don't want to be like held liable for saying something that's too deep. So I try to make sure that I like pull back a little. And then God's like, no, don't pull back. Like, a lot of kids know a lot of the stuff that you're talking about relationships. They're running to relationships right now while they're this young because they don't have anywhere else that they fit in. All of the things that you did when you were running into relationships or you were trying to be in a relationship super young, it's the things that these kids are doing. And so you need to be real with them because they can see you if you're holding back. They can see that you're not divulging all of the information that they need to help them. So you need to be super transparent and just be real. And I'm like, okay. I just try to be obedient and just do what it is that I need to do, but I'll be so nervous. Like, it's crazy, but I get real nervous. And so, anyways, we always try to make it seem like we have to go so hard, hustle so hard, put forth all this energy to get the things that God already had for us. When God is saying, I just need you to rest. I need you to work because faith without works is dead. But I don't need you to be focusing on so many things that you don't hear me. I don't need you to be doing so much that you think that you're the one that's accomplishing this instead of knowing that this miracle, this thing that happened in your life only came through God, you know? And so the next thing that I had on there was giving the world our attention. So the pastor had said this, and it really was like, oh, wow, I didn't think about it like this, but it's true. He said, your attention is expensive. Sometimes we give people rent spaces in our head. We allow them to just do whatever it is that they want to do. There's some people that are brave enough to have a conversation with the person that they have an issue with in person. That's what I like to do. Not a lot of people like to do that. Sometimes they try to avoid it. They try to like, not text back or call back or whatever else. And it'll be somebody cool. I'm learning. And so whenever I meet somebody, if they do something that doesn't rub me the right way, I go directly to that person. I don't have time to talk to a whole bunch of people, waste a whole bunch of energy on a person that I just met. I don't know you enough, and you don't know me enough. You might not even know that's wrong. You might not even know that that's not what I want in my life or what I would need at this moment. You might not even know that you're being offensive when you say or do these things. This could just be your personality. It could be you've done it to a whole bunch of other people and maybe they haven't checked you on it. I don't know what it is, but I'm the type of person. And I say this, and I'm so soft spoken and everything else, and I don't say it like you need to do this. Like I don't like to raise my voice and do any of that. I just like to say, when you sent this, I felt like this. I really would appreciate in the future if you did not do anything like this ever again. I know ever is like one of those words that you probably shouldn't say, but I need the person to know the severity of the situation. I need them to know that I'm for real about this. Like it's not just like a ha ha ha. No, I'm for real. Like I need you. I need for my healthiness, for my healing. I don't want to see anything like this again. This is not helping me. Like, I don't know. I'm going to assume and give you the benefit of the doubt and thinking that you did this with the best of intentions. In the future, do not do this. And I leave it like that. The person sometimes gets mad. Sometimes they say, okay, or, they won't do it in the future. And the second time they do it, that's it. I don't know that person. Sorry to that person, and it's not about cutoff. It's about me being healthy. I'm not saying you just cut off all your friends and never give them a chance to explain themselves, because sometimes the way people are raised, the way people grew up, the way people handle other people, they don't know what your triggers are. They don't know what matters and doesn't matter to you. So when somebody's learning for you, that's the best time for you to set precedents in your life, especially for that person if they plan on being around, sticking around. So every person that's in my circle, every person that gets to know me knows what is and what is not appropriate. And I don't mean it like they have to do what I say and say what I do. I mean it in like if something makes me feel a certain type of way and they truly care about my well-being, they won't do it again, because they will have every intention of making sure that I feel comfortable, just like I would want them to feel comfortable. If I said something and I hurt somebody's feelings, I've done that before in the past, I will apologize, because although I'll say, that was never my intention. And I'm sorry that, that saying that made you feel that way, and I won't do it in the future. Because I know how sometimes you say, I'm sorry it made you feel that way. Some people feel like that's not a real sorry. But if I don't know and I didn't do it intentionally, I want them to know that my intention was never to do that. Like I don't intend to just break people down or hurt people's feelings. If I hurt your feelings, since I hurt your feelings, I am really sorry, because that was never my intention. I am not in the business of hurting or breaking people. I'm in the business of trying to help people. And so I try to make it clear and let people know, and I have every intention of making sure that I don't do it again. And I know that the thing that the pastor said on top of that is like ringing in my mind, like, don't expect them from you. I don't expect that either. But I also have healthy standards and boundaries that I have to put in place in my life so I can make sure that I am respecting and honoring myself, and I'm making sure that people are treating me the right way. If they're not, they can't be a part of my life. It's nothing personal against them. It's that I have to protect myself, and you have to protect yourself. I know it might sound like harsh or whatever else, but your sanity and your mental health is the most important thing. I mean that. Sometimes people will literally put themselves through HE double hockey sticks just for somebody else, just to please somebody else. But you can't let your mental health be the thing that's jeopardized just to please another human being. I try to say all the time, and I don't do this perfectly, but I always try to say that the only person I'm trying to please is God, and the only advice I get is from God. I hear people say things, and people will say things that they try to be helpful towards me, and I will listen to some of the things that they say, especially if it's an older person who I respect, or a younger person, or whatever else. And when they say things, I'll listen to it, I'll acknowledge it. And if God says this is what I need to learn in this lesson, I will utilize it. I don't take advice from other people because they're going through something in their life. I listen and I learn from other people, but I don't live my life based on another person, if that makes any sense. I hope that made sense to somebody, because I just feel like so many people are going through their own journey and they have their own biases and their own like flaws and things that they do in their life. So when they look at your situation from the outside without any feelings, without anything else, they think, oh, it's just this, this, and this. Sometimes it's just you loving yourself. Yes, that could make sense. But without instructions on how to love yourself, you're not really helping somebody by saying, oh, they just need to love themselves and know their worth. Like, We get it. It's a one word, phrase that everybody says. It's a cliche term. People hear it. They say it to people all the time because they feel like it's helpful. And yes, we should learn to know our worth, and we should really love ourselves so we know how to love our neighbors. But you have to really put forth an effort to help people, really help them. Like, you're not just saying something because you want to make yourself feel good. You say things because you have the intention of really helping them. Like, if I see somebody going through a really bad relationship, I let them know, or, they're going through something in life, I let them know, hey, I'm here for you. I speak a life into them. I tell them all of the things that I wish somebody would have said to me when I was going through the hardest moments of my life. When I was in that toxic relationship and being toxic. When I was going through periods of my life where I felt left out, where I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, where I felt super different and I didn't like it then. Like, everything that I wish someone would have said to me is what I say to the other person. And then I don't just stop there. I try to help. And I help by giving them information. I help by telling them ways that I've healed in the past. I help by telling them ways that they can grow and learn to love themselves, not just you need to love yourself. What are they going to do with that? You need to love yourself and what? Like, it's not helpful to just say one word, like, just to give yourself a pat on the back. Like, that's not helping people. When you help somebody, you really have to do it with the intention of being selfless. You're doing it because you really want to see them do good. You're not just doing it for your own accolades, you know? So I think that's one of the things that I want to make sure that I've learned lately is what I need to pay more attention to and do, because not everybody does that. So obviously, I'm doing this for a reason, because some people don't even realize that it's unhelpful. They really do think that that's helpful to say you you need to love yourself. Like, that's like you're beating up on someone that's going through something. It really doesn't feel great at all. It feels horrible. It makes them feel even crappier about the decisions that they made in the past and that they continue to make. And they can't truly love themselves or build themselves up if you're speaking that into them. Because although you think it's helpful, it's not helpful. It's making them feel like, well, I can't trust my own thoughts. I can't trust my own opinion. Well, if I'm going through this and they're saying, I need to love myself, then I'm acting like I don't love myself. And I've really been trying. I've been really healing in this area. And you're not going to be 100% perfect. Only God is perfect. And it's okay. You just have to be willing to keep trying to do better. And everything is going to be fine. You are going to get strong enough one day. You are going to heal one day. Just keep on going. Don't give up on yourself. Because the people that really make it seem like, oh, you just have to love themselves, or they're pretending like they do, don't really love themselves, especially if they're talking about other people. And I'm not getting on people that talk about people. I'm just saying in general, especially people that have to put other people down, especially people that have to use you as a pet to make you feel like you're not good enough when you are exactly who God created you to be. Every single woman around me, I want them to know their worth. I want them to know how beautiful and smart and intelligent they are. I don't care if they failed out of high school. You are smart and beautiful. You might not have put forth an effort, or you tried to put forth an effort in high school, but it was hard because you were bullied. It was hard because you were going through things in your life. Maybe you had to help work or do something else in your life. That does not mean that you're not smart just because you made mistakes in your life. Every single person walking the face of this earth has made a mistake. Don't let somebody talk to you, talk down to you, and make you feel like your mistake is worse than theirs. Yes, there are levels to it. I understand that. But you made a mistake just like everybody else. You messed up just like everybody else. You have a flaw just like everybody else. But you are exactly who God created you to be. And all you have to do is just try to be better every day. You can do this. I don't care if you don't have a high school diploma. I don't care if every single guy hasn't treated you right. I don't care if you've been rejected from every single job. Start your own business. Focus on God. Work where you can. Like, do what you have to do to better yourself. Go to the library. You don't have any money. I love the library. I really do. Like, it's like walking into the mall, for real. But go to the library. Check out a book, learn ways to love yourself, learn ways to grow, learn ways to heal, learn educational things. They have SAT scores. They have, what is it, GED. books in there. So if you didn't graduate from high school, you can go there and study on the times that you can. If you have a car or something and you can afford the car, but you have trouble being able to get other resources, use the library computer. Go on there, take classes, take course careers. It's $500. You can literally work in tech until you do whatever else, or you can do that part time while you're doing other stuff in your life. And really, if you really, really focus, you can finish in 1 to 6 months. And I know 6 months sounds like a long time. 6 months is if you pace yourself and you don't go full at it. But if you spend 8 hours a day doing the material or however long, if you're not working or if you work part time and you have all this extra time, you need to be educating yourself. You need to be learning new things. You need to be advancing. You need to be growing, because the more you learn, the better you will feel about yourself. I promise you that, because they might be able to take a lot of things from you, but the stuff that you just learned, they'll never be able to take that from you. You will always have that. So get it while you can, because you don't know where God's taking you in the next season of your life, and you might not have the time to study for the GED or study to finish college or study for whatever else it is that you're trying to do in your life. You have to be willing to put forth an effort in you. And the pastor said something that was like, it's true, it was harsh, but it was good. And so he said, he said that, if you don't appreciate yourself, if you don't appreciate who you are, what you bring to the table, all of the things that you are, all of the great things that you are, like, know how great you are and know how amazing you are. Know how beautiful you are. You don't have to look like this woman over in some other country. You don't have to look like this woman on this magazine. You don't have to look like this woman on TV. The only thing you have to look like is the best version of yourself. You just have to be the best version of you at that moment, whatever that is. You might look even better in the next day, and the next day, and the next day. You can't compare yourself to anybody else but you, because God made you uniquely the way that you are. You're not supposed to look like a copy paste of anybody else. You will never be able to. There's not one type of thing out there that can make you look exactly like somebody else. Yes, there's makeup techniques and stuff like that, but why be anybody else when you can be you? Nobody is better at being you than you. You have to really lean into loving yourself. And you lean into it by learning. You lean into it by actually healing, not just, when one bus leaves, hop on the next one. All the other cliche terms that people like to say from broken, toxic, unhealthy ways of healing. We need to start healing the right way so we can have healthy relationships. Because if we keep on being broken, we're going to bring that into the next relationship. And then that guy has to suffer for what the last guy did, or that girl. And the next thing you know, you can't be the leader that you're supposed to be as a man, because you were with all the wrong women and you trusted the wrong women. You have to be willing to work on yourself, to love yourself exactly the way that God created you to be. I always get on myself and I say this, but listen, when I'm praying, guys are going to judge me. The right guy's going to date me regardless, so it don't matter. But listen, I always, like, when I'm praying, I'm thanking God for everything from my head to my feet. I'm like, God, thank you for the stretch marks on my body. Like, I literally say that in my prayer, because, somebody gonna like these. No, but seriously, like, sometimes we think something is an imperfection when it makes us exactly who we are. Not everybody has that stretch mark that I have. So it's unique to me. And so I'm going to love that thing. And God didn't put it there on accident. It's there for a reason. So I'm going to go with it. I'm going to roll with it. And if there's some kind of, olive oil and coffee mixture that makes the stretch marks go away or whatever else, then okay, great. If it doesn't, oh well. It just is what it is. I just need to love every single part of me, from the top of my head to every single hairstyle that I wear. Sometimes it's straight, sometimes it's curly, up, down, back, left, right, side to side, however I'm wearing it, to the eye shape that I have, to my eyebrow shape, to my nose, to my teeth, to my lips, to my ears, to my shoulders, to every single part of my body and the organs on the inside that's functioning properly. I'm trying to love all of it. Because if I don't personally love myself inside and out, because even though I have makeup on and I have this outfit on that I like, if the inside of me is messed up, it's not going to help nothing. You know, I'm going to scare away the person with my personality. I'm going to not be productive if I have a nasty attitude. I need to be loving who I am on the inside and working on emotional intelligence. Work on learning a new skill. Work on being the best version of myself emotionally, mentally, and then on the outside physically with healthy eating, exercise, and whatever it is that I'm doing, because I need to make sure that I love myself inside and out. And when you love yourself, then you can love your neighbor. Then other people will see your value because you truly do love yourself. And it's not just about you saying a whole bunch of I am affirmations, although when you are saying I am, you're calling on the power of God, because God is the great I am. Listen, although that is the thing, you have to do more than that. When you get into a relationship, you have to have healthy standards and boundaries. I don't mean you got to say and talk and do a whole bunch of head movement and hand clapping. I mean, you need to have a tone of voice. Like, you need to be serious, because don't waste a whole bunch of energy on somebody that doesn't deserve it, because you are going to feel even worse about yourself afterwards. Don't say something you can't take back, you know? And I know sometimes it's hard. I don't know if you're going to have to go and say, I'm about to go exercise. I don't know if you're going to have to go and start writing and just write how you feel, read it back to yourself, and then be like, oh, you know what, that was a little harsh. Let me critique it and say it this way instead. You know, I don't know if you're going to have to, you know, just take a moment, take a couple deep breaths, do the box method, you know, 4 inhales in, hold your breath 4 seconds, and then blow out your breath in 4 seconds. And you do that repeatedly as many times as you need to calm your body down so that you can be in a good headspace to have a real conversation, a real mature conversation. And then when someone doesn't do something, don't just say, if you do it again, I'm going to leave. You could say, listen, you know, I don't want to waste my time. This is inappropriate. I don't really, you know, this isn't what I want. Or this, you know, I'm not really okay. I'm not okay with this. Not really. I'm not okay with this. And you have to stick to it. You can't just go back and be like, oh, well, they didn't really mean it. Oh, well, they didn't. Because as soon as you do that, you will feel crappier about yourself. I promise you, you will. I've done it before. And once you start loving yourself, you really feel like poop. You really don't feel great when you let people slide with stuff that you know is inappropriate, or stuff that you know you don't want to settle for. Or especially when you start loving yourself, it's even harder. Like, settling is like making you feel like you got this, like, horrible taste in your mouth. Like, it's unsettling. Your soul feels unrested. It just, your spirit feels off. It doesn't feel good at all. And then you start to doubt yourself, and then you go on this downward trajectory. Like, you go on this downward spiral, sorry. And it just makes you feel like you got to restart all over again. Don't put yourself in those situations. You know, if you need to walk away, you need to walk away. You need to love yourself more than you like that person's looks or that person's personality, or the fact that all the people that you know like that person. You have to love yourself more than that. And it's not always going to be easy. And when or if you fail, do not beat yourself up. Move on with your life and keep it moving. It's going to be real difficult. A lot of people are not going to understand, but that's okay. It's not for them to understand. It's for you to learn and grow. And you have to do it on your own time. Don't sit there. Do not sit in that moment and just beat up on yourself. You have to forgive yourself and say, listen, I made a mistake in the past. You know, I I really settled in this moment because I had a moment of weakness. The flesh is weak. It's biblical. Like, you have to give yourself a break. I know you want to be perfect, but only God's perfect. You're not always going to catch every single test, and it's okay. You just have to do the best that you can and learn from every single situation. Every single 152, 53 guys that try it, you're just going to have to use every one of them as a lesson. And it's going to be fine. God got you. I promise that. No matter what you're going through, no matter how impossible it seems, God is always going to work it out. And although that situation didn't work out, although you didn't do or say all the things that you wanted to say in that situation, although you let this person get away with this or whatever else, or you didn't pass this test or that test, you're going to pass the next one because you studied now. You got all the answers you need, you know? So don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself. Love yourself. Whew. Okay. Sorry. I don't know where that came from, but all right. And the next thing on my list is we choose quantity over quality. Mm. This one sounds so funny. This is so funny, but I was getting ready to drop my daughter off at school earlier, right? And I go past this sign at this car place and it says quality over quantity. And I said, whew, that's a whole word. And in my spirit, I felt this whole thing like just, I just felt this whole word. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but this is what makes me think I'm a preacher at heart because I'd be like, it just dropped in my spirit and I'd be like, oh, okay. Hold on, let me see where this is. I try to put everything in order so I can remember where it is, but apparently everything is all over the place because I wrote a lot of notes today. Yeah, I wrote a lot of notes. Okay, it might be word for word. I'm probably not going to do that because I want to make sure I say everything. Oh, yeah. So the first thing I thought of was I know a lot of people are going to think this is about relationships, but no. The first thing that dropped into my spirit when I heard quantity over quality is God. Sometimes we talk about all of the blessings that God gives us, and yes, He gives us an immense level of blessings. Like we have so many blessings, blessings on blessings on blessings. But earlier today, I really thought about it's not really about the quantity of the blessings; it's about the quality. Sometimes God can bless you with one thing, and it could change your entire life. He can do one thing, make one move, introduce you to one person, open one door, get you in a position at one job. He can have you talk to one leader. He can have you work at one place. He can have you be in one relationship. And that relationship, that job, that thing that God blesses you with can change your entire life. That one thing was like a ripple effect, and it just completely, immensely blessed you. Sometimes we really try to think, well, okay, God's blessing me here, He's blessing me here, He's blessing me here, He's giving me all of these different things. But listen, God only got blessed me once. He gave me one good opportunity. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna do everything that He put on my heart for me to do. I'm gonna make sure that I make the most of that one opportunity. And I'm good with that. I'm content with that. And every blessing after that He wants to give me, I'm going to receive. But it's not about the amount of blessings that God's given me. It's about me appreciating every single individual one because every one it has quality. Every single blessing God gives me is abundant. Everything He does in my life, even if it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, is huge. When God allowed me to stay in this house, this was like I felt comforted in God, but it really allowed me to have peace because when I first saw this house, I was like, when I'm here, it really felt the only places that I felt like home at was at my grandma's and my mom's. Like at my grandma's house, it feels like anybody can go there and they feel home. At my mom's house, it's like when I go there, I feel like anything's possible. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just have this whole vibe with these houses and stuff. And so when I come here, it feels comfortable. But not comfortable in like a I'm stuck kind of way, like this is like the home away from home. It kind of feels like contentment. Like contentment. That's what I should say, not comfortable. Like it's cozy. It's cozy and it makes me feel content. It's like it gives me peace of mind. It's like the way that the house is set up, the way that the rooms are, the way that everything is just has me in a whole vibe. Like I can go skate in the kitchen and just if it really makes me feel so happy, I can go in the living room and just dance just because I feel like it. I can go, down the stairs and into like the living area and I could just have a whole movie night or, just do the whole popcorn thing with some fuzzy socks or something. I don't know. I could sit at the bar if I want to sit in the kitchen table. I can go into the rooms and, in this room I can create, have a space that I can create. It's not a huge giant room. This is probably like the smallest room in the house, but it has everything that I need in it. I don't need a giant, huge room. I wouldn't complain if God gave me a bigger room, but I'm content with the room that God gave me as well. And I'm appreciative of every single place in this house and God allowing me to stay here. This is one blessing. But look at all of the things, all of the possibilities, all of the things that this one blessing has given me. That's quality. You know, we, I really had to say that. Oh, and I was going to say, I'm glad I wrote this down because I almost forgot. I said, I got this from PMJ, but he always says you about to tear the whole church up. But I was like, I said, God's one quality blessing could tear your whole life up, your entire life. Not even just your life, but generations to come. Sometimes God will bless you or give you something, and literally it can change the everybody's life around you. It blessed me, and because it blessed me, I was able to bless so many other people. I was able to help and serve so many other people with one blessing, one quality blessing that God gave me. And that's not that I'm saying that that's the only thing that God gave me. I'm just saying that sometimes we really try to look at things in a number, like, oh, having more of something makes it more beneficial. When having more of something and not keeping it doesn't make it any more beneficial than having a little of something. And like the Bible says, if you can be a, a good steward over a few things, he'll make you ruler over many. God wants to bless you with more, but you have to appreciate every single little moment that you have. Nothing that God does is little, but the things that you don't see as immensely generous or something that is not abundant or, huge in your life is huge. It's something that you need to appreciate. It's something that you have to understand like, wow, this is everything that I needed. Oof. Okay. Mm. The last thing that I had was we let influence determine our behavior. Mm-mm-mm. In the sermon earlier, the pastor had said something like, the devil doesn't destroy your life, he just influences you to make the bad decisions to destroy your own life. Sometimes we want to have so much influence over things, or we want somebody's approval over so many things that we allow that to dictate our life. We allow it to guide us to what we need to do in our life when really God is the head of everything. If we're focused on God, God can give us everything that we need. There's nothing we have to want for, God is going to make sure that you are good. And if we keep on seeking the approval of someone else, no, not everybody you can't please everybody. You can't. You just can't. It's impossible. So how about pleasing God? And that will give you everything that you need. I had this weird like analogy because I like or used to love watching horror movies. And so when the pastor was preaching about the devil doing things to destroy your life and influencing you into making decisions to destroy yourself, it really made me think about his example was Adam and Eve in the garden and how he would just influence Eve to eat the fruit. And then Eve influenced Adam. The serpent came in and influenced Eve, and then Eve influenced Adam, and they both ate the fruit of the one tree out of thousands of trees that they had. But listen, and then about, Samson and Delilah and all the other stories. And it's like he was just saying how the adversary can use so many things to try to influence you, try to make you think differently, or try to, get in your thoughts and just make you think what he wants you to think, especially about yourself. When it's cynicism, when it's things like that, and he'll be like, oh, you're not good enough. The pastor said every time the adversary tells you you're not good enough, know that you're good enough because everything that he says is the opposite is true. He said the adversary believes more about you than you believe about yourself. And it's so true. And when I had heard this, it really made me think about people are gonna laugh and think it's so silly, but it made me think about It. I don't know if you guys know what It is. It was a movie back in the day and they remade it. They did a It and then a It Chapter 2. But the movie pretty much is about this. People thought it was a clown. Okay. So I don't want to ruin the movie for people. I don't like talking about the endings, but it's really relevant to the story and prevalent. So so in It, there's these kids, they the one kid goes to try to get his balloon and it grabs the kid and takes him away, and throughout the whole movie they're trying to figure out, they're like, okay, yeah, I think I saw it, nobody knows what it is. And it's just the main thing that I took away from it was the things that you were afraid of. It was possible. Like the thing, it was possible because the children were afraid of it. Because in their mind, they had already decided that this was something that could defeat them. They had already decided that this was something that they couldn't withstand. This was something that they couldn't go up against. This was their biggest fear. That's how the adversary will try to influence our behavior by manipulating our minds, just like the movie It with the character. Because if we are not afraid, if we Whew, I want to say this the way that I felt it, and so I want to make sure that I don't leave anything out. Whenever we don't believe in ourselves, it's just a trick of the enemy. And just like on It, when the kids had to step up and they had to say, I'm not afraid of you, we need to say, I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to step out on faith. Fear can't stop me. Temptation won't capture me. And we have to speak that life into ourselves and know that the enemy only is doing it because he feels threatened. He's only doing it because he wants us to stop in our purpose. He doesn't want us to be all of the things that God intended for us to be. He wants us to just give up. He doesn't want us to be in our purpose. He's trying to manipulate and influence us so that we can do all of the wrong things, so we can fall into temptation, so that we can, and it always says win because our flesh is weak. But we have to be willing to ask God for escape, because whenever there is temptation, God will always give you an avenue to escape it. We have to really don't even think about trying to influence how other people feel about you. Don't even think about how you have to make everybody happy and please all of these people. The only person you have to please is God. You know, the best way to explain it, and I wrote this in my notes because I was really feeling it, and I was like, it's gonna flow like this in the video, and it didn't because I had other stuff I guess God wanted me to say, and so that's fine as long as God is the head of this video and not me, because it's not about me, it's about God. And what I wrote down after the sermon, after I was thinking of It and how, all the kids were afraid and they just had to believe that they weren't afraid to defeat it. That's how we have to do with the adversary. We have to believe that we're not afraid. We have to control our thoughts. We have to remember that God is in control of everything, that, our thoughts are not his thoughts. Our ways are not his ways. God has a plan for us that we don't even understand. We can't even fathom God's strategic plan because he is like that, So we really have to understand that whenever the adversary starts trying to manipulate our minds, we have to know that spiritual warfare. We have to know that that's him trying to convince us that we're not good enough. That's him trying to stop what God placed on the inside of us. That's him trying to stop our purpose because he knows the only way he can stop it is if he can manipulate us. That's him trying to make sure we don't have healthy families out here. Because as long as he can tempt us, as long as he can persuade us to do something else that's not the right thing, not what God would intend for us to do, then we're falling right into his trap. And he makes it so easy because it's always enticing. He's not gonna tempt you with something you don't like. He's gonna make sure it's something that you do like. And when I say temptation, I don't just mean when I say flesh and temptation, I don't just mean one thing. I mean when you're tempted by doing that thing that you know is wrong. When you're tempted by entertaining something like you're watching a TV show, going a place that you know you shouldn't be, Any of those things that you're doing that are not God's ways are all avenues for the adversary to put his foot in. And as soon as you give him an inch, he will take a mile. The adversary will get in any way that he can to your life. And you might think it's something harmless, it's really no big deal. But the next thing you know, you are going through the worst spiritual warfare. The next thing you know, you don't understand why it feels like you're so emotionally exhausted. You don't understand why your spirit is restless. It's because you gave the enemy a foothold. And people act like it's no big deal, but it's a real big deal. You have to understand the severity of the situation and know that if you stay focused on God, if you really take a moment every time you hear something negative, every time something happens in your life, every time you think about going that place, doing that thing, take a moment and really think about, is this going to benefit your life? If the answer is no, if the answer is temporarily, and you laugh, haha, like it's funny, but that's your life that you're about to ruin. You're about to set yourself back a whole year after doing all this good work. You really have to think, what is most important? Is your future most important, or a moment? Because one show that can't benefit your spirit isn't going to help you. One TV show, one movie that isn't benefiting you is not going to help you if it's setting you back. One man, one woman is not going to benefit you if it's setting you back. You need to make sure that you are allowing God to guide your life so that you can have everything that He has for you. And know that God has the best of intentions for your life. His plans are to prosper you and not to harm you. He has no intention of holding you back from something that can benefit you. So, in conclusion, make sure that you are not chasing anything but God. Don't allow anything looking fine, anything out here in the world that's super enticing, that roll, those homemade biscuits or rolls that are made that, it's just self-rising with the butter on the top that are put in the oven perfectly. And you know that, you can't just eat just one. You probably would eat more like 12 to 20. Like, you probably need to get away. You probably need to walk away. If it's, you know, whatever it is in your life that's your weakness, you're going to have to walk away. God will give you an opportunity to walk away. Every time I was about to make a bad decision, it was always an avenue to escape. God will always provide that for you because His intention is never to make you trapped in temptation. His intention is to make sure that you are stronger, that you have the ability or the opportunity to walk away. Make sure that you don't chase money, any person, place, or thing, thinking that you can get that thing if you manipulate it or if you just can coerce it into being yours. Anything that's for you is for you. Everything that God wants you to have, you will have. Chase God. Don't worry about that money. Don't worry about love. Don't worry about any of those things, because those things will come, because that's what God wants you to have, everything that you want for the right reasons. When it comes to giving the world your attention, focus on God. You're so busy focusing on how you're gonna make this money. You're so focused on how this is gonna happen, how that's gonna happen, how you're gonna grow your business, how you're gonna do this, that. And the whole time God got a plan. You don't have to worry about trying to make anything happen. We keep doing too much when God's got this. He didn't say, hey, I need you to help me do this. Even though I created you, even though I control everything, I need you to do this, because without you doing this, nothing can happen. I'm not saying that you just sit around and don't do anything with your hand out because you got saved. I'm talking about you get up, you put forth an effort, because faith without works is dead. And you let God lead your life and guide your footsteps so that you can do the things that He wants you to do and not just selfishly do what you want. That's what I'm talking about. And quantity over quality. Make sure that you are allowing God to know that you appreciate everything that He's given you. Don't worry about how many blessings you get. Worry about making the most of the one blessing that God gives you and appreciating every single thing. I have this book that I was reading that I still kind of dip into here and there. It's called You Are a Bad, A Word. And I know people are probably going to judge me because it's a curse word in the title, but listen, the book is good for motivating you, for real. There's a few of those words in there, but I kind of just skip over a little. I'm like, oh. But it has this part in there where it says, take a moment and look around the room Point out 5 things that you appreciate. These can't be 5 things that you appreciate already. It's got to be 5 things that you didn't notice that you appreciate now. And before I probably would have said the setup that I have for this, or whatever else. But I started naming stuff that I didn't even realize or recognize. Appreciating those small things helps you appreciate the bigger things even more. It helps God be able to bless you even more because you're being a good steward over a few things so He can make you ruler over many. Make sure that you don't seek approval to do the things that God is intending for you to do. You don't need the title. You don't need a person, place, or thing to make you who God created you to be. You don't need anybody else's, approval to be who God created you to be. And you have to make sure that you guard your thoughts and guard your heart at all costs. You need to make sure that you don't allow the adversary a foothold in your life with temptation or negative talk, self-talk, cynicism, whatever else. You need to make sure that you are conscious of the fact that this is how spiritual warfare begins, through your mind. When the adversary gets in there, he has a foothold, and he can try to guide you in different places in your life by making you make other horrible decisions. It's like a downward spiral. You really have to get ahead of things. And although people think of it as a joke and they're like, oh, this one thing won't hurt you. Oh, everybody does this. Listen, you're not everybody. You're different. You're here for a reason. We're not like everybody else. We are different. All of us are individually made differently so that we can see, we can be the ones that allow. Do I want to say allow? We can be the ones that actually get our purpose into reality. We are the ones that walk our purpose out. We're the ones that make it happen. God guides us and then we are just obedient and it happens through God, is what I mean. And so we need to make sure that we are conscious of the thoughts that we have in our head. We're conscious of the way that we are talking to ourselves. If we're talking to ourselves in a way that we would never want somebody else to talk to ourselves, we don't love ourselves. Because loving yourself means talking life into yourself. You can't just go around speaking life into other people and then talking yourself down, because that's exactly where the adversary wants you. You have to be stronger than that. I know it's not always going to be easy, but I just learned today that that's how spiritual warfare starts, is in your mind. I didn't even know that's how the adversary gets a foothold in, because sometimes you'll be like, oh, I messed that up. And you do it without even thinking about it. You're just like, oh, I messed that up. And then the adversary's like, I got you now. Next thing you know, you're on this downward spiral. Next thing you know, you're saying all of these negative things. And it's like, I wasn't even thinking like this yesterday. I wasn't even thinking like this. And when you try to fight to be positive again, it's like you're struggling through quicksand or something. It's like the hardest thing ever. And you're just like, I don't understand why it's so difficult. I was just, confident in everything yesterday. Why does it feel like it's so difficult for me to speak life into myself? It's because that one comment that you didn't rectify, you didn't repent over, allowed the adversary a foothold into your mind, and thus eventually created spiritual warfare. You have to be real conscious. In the world, we try to make it seem like these decisions are nothing. Like, oh yeah, go ahead and do that thing. Oh yeah, I'll just go this place. Oh, I can let somebody do this and it really won't affect me. The next thing you know, you got spiritually transmitted demons all around you because they're insecure. And I'm not getting on people, but I'm saying sometimes we pick up on we're in these wrong relationships and we pick up on all their insecurity. We pick up on all of their spiritual demons that they're fighting. And we don't understand why we're going through so much. It's because it's not your battle, it's somebody else's. God didn't equip you for that battle. You put yourself in a battlefield that you weren't even supposed to be on, you know? And we really need to stop making light situations like that like it's no big deal, because it's it is a huge deal. It is a big deal for you to be putting yourself in jeopardy, for you to be pulling yourself backwards when God wants you to keep going forward. It is a huge deal when psychologically you feel mentally drained, spiritually drained, restless, because you took on all this stuff that God never intended for you to have to go through. Sometimes we really try to make it seem like the thing that we went through made us who we are, when God already had the purpose inside of us. That thing just helped break it out. We didn't need that thing. That person, place, or thing did not make us who God created us to be. That was just one decision. And that decision helped break the thing out of us, but it didn't make us gifted. It didn't make us purposeful. We were already that. So when it comes to your life, take it serious. Build yourself up from the ground, bottom to the top. Seek God. Ask Him what it is that you need to do so He can do everything that you need Him to do in your life. He can move in your heart. He can move in your life. He can make that one blessing everything that you need. Chase Him because He will provide all of your needs.